Hello and welcome to another episode of Life in the Mind, a neurodivergent podcast presented by neurodivergent people. I'm Joy Amy Wigman.
And I'm Marie Spear.
And this episode is Life in the Mind of us.
Ooh, terrifying. Ooh.
Yeah, we just thought we'd sort of touch base with you guys, which is a phrase I hate. Why have I just said that? And talk a bit.
What is the base? Why are we touching it? What?
Oh yeah, I guess that's like a baseball reference.
It must be
right?
a baseball reference. Or rounders. It'd be hilarious if it was a
Base.
rounders reference. How many rounders references are there in the English language?
Oh no, because
That'd be
now
amazing.
I'll sit here and
Need to
try
know
and work
this.
them out.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi. We
looking at
thought
that
we'd
later.
talk a little bit about some of our experiences because it's been a while, hasn't it? A little while since we've done that.
Yeah. It's good to go, oh yeah, we're neurodivergent as well.
Yeah, and I've had a few weird things over the past couple of months. Some interesting things that people have said.
Yeah.
I'm going to start on a positive one though.
Ooh.
So I have asked the person's permission whether I can talk about this, so do not worry. So I have a lot of friends who are neurodivergent, but one of my best friends is neurotypical. And we were kind of talking about it, and she said that one of the lovely things about having so many friends who are neurodivergent is it teaches her how to look after herself. So because she's being aware of when her friends might be getting overwhelmed or whether a situation might be difficult for them and putting in like just natural accessibility for them, it makes her think harder about the way that she treats herself and her own well-being.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was actually a really nice kind of thing to say because
Yeah. That's a really nice reflection, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I sort of feel like if I'm freaking out at her and being overwhelmed, that my little brain can go, this is actually helping her learn about herself as well.
Yeah, well, it's something
nice.
of if we're around people who are practicing, that's one of their practices is good for them, then we can see how that is good, then we're more likely to take it on.
Yeah.
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 Lowest common denominator, raising the bar for everyone kind of thing.
So I thought that was really nice, and like I think that's a really good conversation to open up with kind of friends and family who are neurotypical. Like, if you're brave enough, you could ask them like, "What's the best thing about being around somebody who is neurodivergent?" And it's a very brave question to ask, but I bet you get some really interesting answers.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I'm now thinking of like, ooh, how can I? Like, how many times can I ask this? The next, just come back with a record of I asked loads of people about this. Some of them said, "Go away, I don't know you." But no, it's a really. I was at a conference a while ago, and in one of the things that one of the speaker's speeches, talking about some sensory differences and stuff like that. In
This
various
was the diversity
studies.
conference.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Yes, it was a neurodivergent Wales, neurodivergent Cardiff.
Cool.
Neurodivergent Cardiff. I think that's bad pronunciation, actually. I'm not sure. Anyway, overthinking that. And yeah, one of the things was this idea that kind of just cropped up as a side thing of that speech was the idea that actually if the neurodivergent child was more calm because of how large their energy or presence was in a space, they'd noticed, just as a kind of, it hadn't been measured, but it'd been like, oh, this is an interesting thing, that affected the energy of the rest of the people in the room.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was a really interesting thought of, because I know that I have big emotions, and people can, like, especially people who know me, or have any level of empathy, can, like, if I'm in a burning emotion time in terms of like radiating it, people can pick up on that, without kind of necessarily realizing what's happening. And I've learned to channel that. So if I make myself calm, actually it can help other people. If I'm comfortable, then actually that helps other people be comfortable. And it's an interesting, like, I wonder whether there's that splash over of, maybe it's you're comfortable because I'm comfortable because of the same factors that are making me comfortable. But at the same time, if it is an empathy thing, a shared empathy of like, this person is feeling safe, and I'm picking up on that feeling of safety from them. It's interesting, like, ooh, I wonder whether that's
I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm wondering about that one.
And just to make it really clear that I asked for a little break there, Murray has taken off his top and replaced it with a different top.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's now the layer underneath, and so there's suddenly jump.
It's the magic jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting you talking about it being sort of empathy, because that's something that I've been looking into a lot lately. Because a friend of mine, who we won't name, and like was, don't give them a hard time because it's just a common misunderstanding. We were talking about my daughter, because as you may know, my husband has ADHD and I am autistic. So we're always looking at things with my daughter to try and make her life easier, just in case. And I was joking with my friend, and my friend said, I don't think she's one of yours because she's really empathetic. And I had to like stop and say, actually, that's quite upsetting to say that. And me and Murray were looking at a YouGov study a little while back, and I can't remember the exact figures, but there's a quite high percentage of neurotypical people who believed that people who are autistic
of the population
believed that if you are autistic you cannot feel empathy. So I started sort of looking into this and like why, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm really empathetic. I really pick up on other people's emotions. They really affect me. And I know my emotions affect other people a lot. And I like to connect with people when I'm talking to them. So I like to add to the conversation with something I can relate to. So like, I don't know what you're going through, but I've been through this thing that's slightly similar. So I might have some way in of like how you might feel. Apparently this is a thing you're not supposed to do. Apparently this is quite rude and feels like one-upmanship.
Or competing for the conversation.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, but your thing's irrelevant because mine's coming in. It's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. It's the opposite.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to.
That I can relate.
Yeah, I'm trying to see you can talk to me. I'm trying to relate to you. And I read this really interesting article called "The Double Empathy Problem," which is by Dr. Damian Milton, and it's sort of about how neurotypical people in society will have this view that if you're autistic, you're not empathetic because the way that we show empathy is different to the way that they show empathy. But that's not the same as not feeling empathy.
No.
In fact, all of the autistic people that I know are the most empathetic people that I know. And they feel things really deeply. And surely people can see that through things like emotional overwhelm, because it's not just sensory overwhelm that you get. That we do want to connect with people. And that we find it hard to connect with people sometimes because they don't understand what we're trying to do.
Yes, and the way that we're doing it isn't the standard the standardized way of manner of connecting with people or showing emotion, and so that's lost. It's often it creates that loneliness bubble.
Yeah.
In terms of we really want to connect, and we can feel what people are. You're empathizing, or you're picking up on more. You've got more empathy and feeling things deeper, and so you're really. But then there are other bits that, as autistic people, we might find harder to read. And pick up on like social cues and stuff, but also actually conveying that we are connecting and that what we want is the same as someone else, or what that we are empathizing and stuff. And it's especially because I get sometimes, it's a phrase in itself, choked up by emotion, type of thing. But for me, it's not like a choked up by the emotion is so strong that it's overwhelming my capacity to actually talk, and so it's like a genuine I lose, and it's just but I'm going to I'm radiating that emotion back. I'm so angry by what you've just described happening to you. I'm so angry for you in this protective way that I'm now burning with this emotion, but I can't find the words.
You can't respond.
Yeah, I can't actually wordify.
I'm so glad you said that, because I find that a lot. So, if something really disastrous has happened, and I'm sort of related to it, I find it really hard to speak, because my brain's and my heart. I'm emoting. And my whole being is concentrating on emoting, and to get my brain to do something else, like convey, is very difficult. And I know that probably sounds mad to people who know me, because I'm a writer.
That's a very different.
But it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
And I suspect if somebody gave me a pen at that point, I probably would be able to write a load of stuff down. But it just physically won't come out of my mouth.
Whereas, for me, I know that I can draw it out. I can draw that thing and actually convey it in that way. Or I can just, I don't know, for me, it's that when I'm in that place, I'm radiating the emotion to the point where I'm I feel like people should be able to see this. It's I could literally feel it every fibre of my being. The really strong example in my brain, when a friend was telling me about how her work was being awful repeatedly with her, and I was just really, really awful things, and I was just internally just growling and just burning with this. Just literally could feel it all the way through me. Just this emotion. And it feels like that there should be a glow accompanied with it, because it's so intense. It's fascinating, because
the empathy is
apparently
too
that's not normal.
No, apparently it's not. But because they talk about, I say the universal they talk about, and we've mentioned it before, autistic joy. And that's the same thing for me. When I feel a moment of autistic joy, it's like everything in me is glowing.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that tears come out of my eyes.
Yeah, and you feel like you should literally be glowing, don't you? And so you stimming and clapping your hands to just kind of release some of that, and just that expression of it.
Yeah.
It's literally radiating out of you.
It's almost
too much.
With
every emotion. It's fascinating. It's a really interesting thing.
So what we're saying to you lot is, of course, we feel empathy.
Yeah.
In fact, there are studies to show that we feel more empathy than your neurotypical bunch.
I think it's something we touched on before, the awkwardness empathy.
Yeah.
So watching certain things on TV, and you suddenly just curl up into yourself, and you also see the opposite of the radiating.
I can't watch the cringe stuff because it makes me feel so cringy.
Yeah. And it's just you're actually just squishing on the sofa.
Yeah, it's horrible.
No, it is. It's a fascinating thing. I remember when I was little, we used to watch a lot of Blue Peter.
Right.
Which is, if people don't know, a very English show with very British show, I guess. It's really quite English. It's
Yeah.
I can't, must not get distracted by trying to delineate those two things, but
There are
in my
adult,
brain, I'm like, these are
adult presenters trying to connect with youngsters.
Kids.
They do like
crafts
and
Here's
articles
what I made
and weird little skits.
Yeah, and they have like, and they always used to have pets, the Blue Peter pets.
Yeah.
And one of the Blue Peter dogs died. And I was broken. I was so sad. I remember this really, really clearly, and I was probably like 4, maybe. And I remember crying with my brother and sister in the lounge, and then walking through into the kitchen. My mum was like, "Oh, Murray, what's happened?" I went, "The Blue Peter dogs died." And just then was the moment where it absolutely just burst into floods and floods of tears. And my mum was like, "Oh," and just didn't give him a massive hug. I look back and I go, that was, that's the reason people went, "You're overly sensitive."
Yeah.
And it's the over empathy in a way, but it's like just
Over-empathy,
the size of the emotion.
I wonder how many of our folks out there get told often you're too sensitive.
Too sensitive.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
You're too sensitive, but you don't have any emotion.
You're quick to anger.
What?
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
In general.
You're too much. You're just too much. Get back in the box.
It's like, but you were sad yesterday. You're not allowed to be sad today. It's like, what? Why is that logical?
What?
Why does that make any sense?
There's a full
That makes
spectrum
far
of
more
human
sense.
emotion. I would like to experience all of them.
Yeah, I think, and going back to that thing of how actually the lowest common denominator can bring up the whole. If we get to that point where we have no kind of choice but to express our emotions, that's a really good thing to, we can then be, oh, look, someone's showing emotion. Maybe this is healthy. Maybe we should show emotion more in healthy ways of just like, oh, I can be angry at something and it's not like you need to be scared of me. Or I can cry but still have a male body and I can be happy and express it rather than just go, yes, that was decent. It was rather okay, but it could do better.
It's very big in British culture is just like, get on with it. I'm like, no, getting on with it is not.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. Just, yeah.
Emotions are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like we have them, all of our emotions have a place.
Yeah.
Very strong believer in
We might express them in a different way to the way that you express them. And that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means it's not the same as you.
And it can give you a chance to reflect on how you express them and what does work for you.
Yeah.
If you go, oh, that's different to how then hopefully I can make you more aware of what you do.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
See? It's good. It's good.
It is, yeah. Neurodivergent people, the solution for everything.
Hey. Except maybe one thing. Well, I had a conversation with somebody this week. Again, we'll do no names. Who said, you just need to be more organised. And
Have you tried not being disorganised?
Have you tried not being disorganised? Like, I've tried everything. I would love to be organised. I would love to know where I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to be doing. I would love to not forget to feed myself. But it's part of my neurodivergence, and it's a really difficult part of it for me. Because I'm so often told you just need to be more organised. How can I be more organised? I've tried all of the apps. I've tried doing it on paper. I've tried setting alarms. It just doesn't work that way. I just don't work that way.
No. Yeah, and that's where we have all those. We still have those eternal individualities within neurodivergence. Because I'm like, I'm really good at being organised, but it doesn't actually make much difference to various other things because I've got so much information in my brain, and that then overwhelms, and it's like, where do I put all of these things? And then that splashes out into physical realities, which then looks like disorganization. But it's such that I know where everything is, and I know everything I'm meant to be doing, but I also know everything that's happening in the world. I mean, obviously hyperbole, but like, yeah, it's interesting, just all these nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something someone said to me when I said about we've got a neurodivergent podcast about validating lived experience in neurodivergence, and it's great. The whole team's neurodivergent, and then I was like, yeah, sometimes we just don't get things done.
We try.
It's like we've definitely sometimes it's just harder to do things, but other times we get so much done in a very short period of time.
We'll have like a 2-hour meeting and be like, hey, that's about 2 months worth of work there.
Yeah. It is rather fascinating to reflect on.
It is. It is. And it's all very different. I think that was one of the points of the podcast was to show how different everybody is. And you can't lump us all into the same very limited diagnostic list.
Yeah, like you've met one neurodivergent person. You've met
them all.
One neurodivergent person, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like, you've met one, so you've met that one. That's not like they're diagnostic criteria, but there's so much. Yeah, there's still that infinite individuality of humanity. It's always a factor. Always a factor.
Well. Unless you've got anything else to add for this week.
Hey, I think we're quite good.
Yeah. I think we're good. Basically, we used this episode just to have a little rant about stuff.
Yeah.
An excited rant or an angry rant.
Yeah, because we're coming to the end of our first season. Yeah. And so we thought we'd check back in with our neurodivergent lives. Yeah. That sounds like a ITV show, doesn't it?
Our neurodivergent lives.
Our neurodivergent. Welcome back to Our Neurodivergent Lives. This week, has had trouble with the vans in the supermarket.
Also, if you're watching this on YouTube rather than just listening to it, you will notice that Murray had started swinging on his chair, and I've automatically started swinging on my chair in time with Murray.
Yeah. We'll have a musical episode at some point where we just start dancing by the end of it.
Don't even. I'm like,
no, I mean we could 100%
we could 100% do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, don't forget to we pre-record all that stuff, so I don't even have to say it.
Get in touch.
Yeah, so folks, if you can get in touch, let us know what you think. Tell us what you thought of the season, because that's always helpful.
Yeah.
Tell us what kind of guests you'd like on, like from what industry or walk of life. Yeah. That's really helpful for us because it can inform who we're going to
and it's easy for us to miss certain things and stuff like that. So it's always good to have input from other angles.
Absolutely.
We've got so many people on our radar that we want to get in, and that we are in the process of getting in and trying to cover as many bases as possible. But it's always good to have people's input, whatever that is, even if it's just like, I really liked your dungarees, that one episode, or your glasses are purple, or I'm just looking at Joy-Amy describing things now.
Just describing Joy-Amy. Joy-Amy's not wearing her lovely sunflower dungarees this week because she did put them on this morning for podcast record, but then when she went to the loo, the little clippy bits went down into the toilet, so I had to change at the last minute. This is my green dungarees today. I'd even done my makeup to match my outfit and everything. Really disappointing.
And you say you're not organised.
Yeah.
Different types. It's interesting, isn't it? I could be really organised with my outfits. But yes.
Well then, folks, we'll see you next week.
Bye. That's all we have time for this week, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Follow us on Instagram at Life in the Mind. Our other socials are linked in the bio. Bye!